What else is going on?
I watched a very fun little documentary over the weekend.
Oh!
Because I'm all about Netflix. So I've been watching on my iPad the Netflix documentary.
Netflix rule.
It really is cool, man.
Isn't this the future we're in?
Oh, dude.
Kind of nice.
You got your Netflix for your TV yet?
No, I have
Getting
a
better
PSP,
every day.
right? Can I do that on PSP?
I'm
sorry, PS3. Yeah,
PS3,
PSP.
of course you can.
PS3. Okay.
And they're adding movies all the time.
I like it a lot. It was called Forgiving Dr. Mengele, and you would enjoy it. It wasn't as graphic as I had hoped with descriptions, but it was about a woman. Because Mengele apparently did a lot of experiments on twins.
Yes, he was fascinated with twins.
Because they said you had a controlled study group there, like you could see the difference between one and the other of two genetically similar things, or whatever.
Yeah.
And this was a surviving twin.
Oh.
And she kind of has forgiven the Nazis. It's like her only way of making
that's
peace.
nice to her.
Because she I guess she's such. Most of the other survivors fucking hate 1, 2, 3, 4 shacks. Yeah, that's what that was obviously based on Mengele, and they all hate because his nickname was the White Angel because of his lab coat. When he would open his arms, he looked like a white angel.
Oh God, how sick is that?
And what a fucking. I really don't like Germans. They're fucking. They would talk about some of the experiments he would do on people that were like not without anesthesia, like heart removals. And they didn't talk about this in the special. I just looked them up. Pieces of the stomach taken out. There's one twin. He tried to take the eyeball from one twin and sew it on the back of another twin's head. He was just like a lunatic.
Like, where would the ideas come from?
He was just. It was almost like,
let me try this.
He was a crazy person. Like he could do whatever he wanted, and nobody would say anything.
Yeah, free reign, huh?
And they would talk about examinations. I just read this. He was doing an examination on some twins, some Romanian twins, guys, like teenagers, and he was they would open their assholes and so they could look into their intestines like that far.
He looks like a nice enough guy.
He looks like a fucking kook.
Like a ghoul.
He looks like a kook.
Big gap tooth.
But just the fact that all these Germans, and I know there were some of them that were against it, but the fact that they all signed up for it. Man, when you shoot somebody, you're just following orders. But when you're watching fucking children be fucking murdered, they're just a fucking horrible culture. Yeah. A horrible, reprehensible fucking mentality, that culture. I was annoyed at fucking Germany. This is how I felt. If the U.S. nuked them now, I would go, I get it.
They pay for it.
I get it.
Yeah, that came out of the whole, the way the whole fucking country felt after World War I.
There's no...
believe me, I know.
Even the murder of the American Indians and these horrible things, slavery, these horrible things the U.S. has done, systematically in a 5-year period, you've never been able to take Americans and just convince them that people that they would actually have seen on the street 2 weeks ago can now be used for human experimentation. Like, as bad as Americans have been, we've never been that fucking monstrous, where you could all of a sudden see Americans just taking children and fucking taking twins and doing experiments, and then when one dies, because then your control group is gone, just putting a needle in the heart of the other one, and they're just doing 2 quick autopsies.
Wow.
Or just, the gas chamber. I mean, look, my breaking ground talk about the Nazis are awful. No, but I just got annoyed.
So I was like, wow, look at that.
It just annoyed me a lot.
It's about time you came to the table on this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, all these
big Nazi supported before this, I guess.
But it's just like,
have to get rid of that tattoo now, I guess, huh? It's
such a reference we use as people. Like, I know you're joking, but we all talk about, that I'm a Nazi, the fucking Nazis. But it's just like watching them. I just fucking have such a loathing for the whole country and that whole culture. Ugh.
Wow. Turned you off on the entire country even now, huh?
Fuck them. Yeah, now I'm sure they're fine, but just
now it's shit videos.
Despicable.
Now it's just shit video experimentation and blowing animals.
Yeah, I know. They really did turn on each other. I thought the Jews had it bad. At least they weren't fucking jerking off to it. Just a terrible fucking group.
Yeah.
A terrible fucking country.
I don't know if I could watch a documentary like that.
The documentary wasn't as bad. Like most of what I'm telling you I read, it wasn't. I wish they would have gotten more graphic and described more of the experiments, because she didn't describe that many. She described a horrible moment of just seeing her family and her mother Like when the guards realized that those two were twins, they separated them and the family was there.
Like, ooh, look what we got here.
And that was the last time she ever saw her family. So it was so weird that they could just behave that way and then come back into, I don't know, they're just not people. They're not fucking people.
Yeah, you really do have to wonder what the mindset is there when you could just take an entire nation. And I know there were a few people that weren't, into the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
Schindler and a lot of people were
Yeah,
against what was going on.
yeah, even though he was quite the profiteer. But, how you change people into authentic monsters where they will just do horrible things to other people and whipped into a frenzy. Not even do it and be like, oh, God, I had to do that. Oh, geez. Like, enjoy it and really think you're doing a service for your country and your Fuhrer by,
Do you think he was doing a service to the country, or you think he was a serial killer?
Who, Mengele?
Yeah.
He was a smart guy, but he was a lunatic.
But do you think he would be a serial killer in any other society?
I don't know, because anybody who was...
Anyone that's able to do that.
he has that mentality, man. He's I think a sociopath, just without conscious sociopath, because anybody given that kind of power, they said it wasn't even medical after a while. It was just, you see these as less life creatures,
Jesus.
and you can just experiment on them, which for a scientist has got to be very tempting, but he just became a monster.
There was a lot of controversy about using that research, if you want to call it that, from what he did and from what other Nazi doctors did during World War II. The people wanted to use some of the research and go, look, I'd like to read this and maybe see if there's anything.
It might help in some
any
way.
redeeming value, that might help
Right.
in future research on maybe disease or whatever. And people are really just dead set against it. Like, no, there's no way this should ever be used.
Where is all this info?
They don't know. Mengele's stuff has never been found.
Yeah.
They don't even know where his, because he would inject the kids with stuff that would kill them sometimes and make them very sick. And the one twin, her sister, her kidney hadn't grown since she was 10 because of some injection he gave her. So she was trying to find out what was it that he was injecting. But his
Anti-kidney growth medicine?
That's what they thought, but then they thought it might just be Pop Rocks. But they can't find his papers.
Hey, where is this stuff? You know a little bit about the era.
Yeah.
Was it burned or something?
In my basement. It's wonderful. I have a whole collection.
What's the theory? Where is all this?
A lot of it just got fucking destroyed,
Probably burned
disappeared,
a lot of it,
and you never know. It could just be in some fucking attic somewhere in some small village.
Wow, bring that to Antique Roadshow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found some files in my attic.
Would you be surprised if I told you this was Dr. Mengele's entire works of research on twins? Yeah.
You think it could be in someone's attic right
How
now?
much you think it's worth? Priceless.
It was so, like they said he would inject dye into the eyes to try to change the eye color. I guess he wanted to make them blue. The fact that they all bought into that blonde hair and blue eyes was like what we should...
Well, it is.
But just the fact that whole dumb fucking country bought
Aryan.
into that.
The whole Aryan
Bunch
thing.
of assholes.
They had to make everybody think they ruled.
Yeah, he did do that. When visiting his child subjects, he would introduce himself as Uncle Mengele and offer them sweets.
Oh, come here. It is the sweetie man, Uncle Mengele,
That's
for you.
wonderful. You think that could ever happen again?
No, because information has passed too quickly now. The whole world, I don't think, really realized the extent of it. I think probably most of Germany didn't realize the extent of it either, in fairness. And I know that there's people who go, what about Abu Ghraib? Got it, Lefty. But I'm sure people will mention horrible things that happen now.
There is some sick genocide going on in Africa.
Yeah, but that's not a fucking Western... You know, they've been cutting off clits and fucking mutilating cunts with sticks for centuries. It's what they do there.
Yeah.
It's all they do.
All they do.
No, so do I think it could go on like that in a place where we travel to freely now and stuff, and people have iPhone? No, it couldn't.
Certain Arab nations, of course, are very closed and very. You don't have rights as an individual. They'll take you if you're like a woman. Committed adultery, she's getting buried up to the fucking neck and getting rocks thrown at her face. But again, that's kind of a culture that's been around for a while, and we try not to tread on there. When you get a country like Germany or France, England, things like that, what would it take to turn the population into monsters like that? I think communication now is too open.
Yeah.
We know what happens the second it happens. A slow build, what they did in Germany is I think would be very hard to pull off now. To get a, early to mid 1930s where Hitler's just starting to grab power and shit like that. I think you'd see that coming now,
Like I saw footage of a while ago of how when they would try to kill people more efficiently, they would bullets were expensive, this was expensive. What's the best way just to wipe out civilians? And it was like where they're driving a Jeep over their fucking heads and their bodies. And it's like these weren't just soldiers. These were like fucking people. They were civilians. It was fucking old people and women and kids. And this fucking pig culture. It's like there was a guy that actually got in the Jeep and drove it.
Drove over their heads.
And it's like for you to be able to do that, you were shit to begin with. For you to be able to that's not following
why do they
orders.
find so many shitty people to do all that stuff?
Again,
that's what you got to really
culture.
That's what you got to really look into.
It was a culture.
Were they scared that if they didn't be the Jeep driver, they were going to be killed? Like
it was
you know
a
what I mean?
culture that was based on them being the pieces of shit after World War I and being treated as such, and so many things in the Treaty of Versailles left them open to have a guy come in and go, no, you're not shit. You rule.
Wow, you got a real
the
answer to the
supreme
question.
fucking race, and these people, now we'll pick the scapegoats. Right. The Jews are the enemy, and they got them worked up into a frenzy. Those Nuremberg rallies, there was a pride that those people got that was completely wiped out after World War I. And then Hitler comes along with his cronies and says, no, you're the best people on the earth. You're better than anyone else because these people aren't even human.
So the world looked at them as shit after World War I?
Oh, yeah. The world, they were the world's...
I didn't know this.
If I may say.
So
the
it made it
world's
very easy.
Negroes.
So it made it very easy to brainwash a lot of people to do this insane shit.
They wanted something to feel good about, regardless of if it was... building, which they did. They were able to build highways and reconstruction, or murdering people that they looked at as not humans.
Look, I understand low self-esteem, and I'm sure a country can have low self-esteem. That does not that explains.
But to get so many people to do such horrific things, you really gotta want
But it was that whole collective, the mob mentality. You wanted to be part of it. I think that's what it was, and I understand what you're saying. You have to have that in you.
Have to, man.
Look, I like a good rah-rah party like anyone else, but when it comes down to, we're hanging out, we all agree with this, it's great, we feel good about ourselves, can you run over these people's heads? There is a line there.
But also, and then the fact is just weird things, like when they would just separate a family, and they know, all right, we're going to march these people into a gas chamber. These kids will be experimented on and then killed. Like, to be able to do that when 6 months before or a year before you had been, you had been a soldier and you put your kid in the thing and the kid goes to school and it's like you live a human life.
They didn't look at them as human
to
beings.
be able to do that. Yeah. People who you had seen in shops before.
Right.
Even, look, there's people I don't like, but there's no human beings alive that I would ever be able to look at, like where I could just separate families and knowing that the kids are going to be killed. There's nothing that could make me do that.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. There's no human reason that Germany was able to do that.
That's why I don't think anyone can really comprehend what has to happen to a group of people to turn them into that over the course of 20 years or so.
Unless they are that to begin with.
Yeah.
When he was saying world domination, and they were all like, all right, and they went with it. They just wanted to fucking murder people, and they wanted to trample the entire planet. That's all they wanted to do.
It sure made them feel good. It made them feel much better than they did beforehand.
And they were too smart. They're not dumb people. They were very bright people.
Great engineers.
Yeah.
They built some of the greatest weapons on the face of the earth, especially for the time.
Yeah.
Everything they had was kicking ass on the rest of the world, and they weren't even allowed to build the shit. They weren't supposed to have an army. They weren't looked after by the rest of the world. Like, they were able to just start building an army when the treaty said you're not allowed to build a fucking offensive army. It's like, oh, this is for defense. Really? Is it? That many Panzer fucking tanks you need? That many brand new mono-wing airplanes that the world hasn't even seen yet? Dive bombers? How do you use a dive bomber defensively over your own country? So the rest of the world just kind of was like, look, we dealt with World War I. We don't want to do this again. Leave them alone. And he was able to make what he made.
And then all these modern day Nazis, I mean real ones, like not joking around ones, or people that like the, there's fucking war fanatics who collect stuff. I'm talking about guys now that really emulate that. And most of them are just miscreants and fucking lonely.
It's skinhead mentality.
But it's like, you guys, first of all, none of you guys could behave that way. As much as you could probably beat up a Jew, or you could write, Hitler rules on the synagogue. When it's night, of course, you don't do it during the day. You always do it at night, so you don't get
You're not a fan of the night crimes?
Despise
Not
them.
a fan of the teenagers that run around graveyards at night when no one's looking?
No, they're just fucking lonely suburban.
What a great
whatever.
point.
They're just
Dummies.
cornballs. We don't like the Jews, but we only don't like them at night. At night.
Make sure no one is
We
watching.
don't want any Jews to look at us to get in trouble.
It's such a great point.
Yeah, they're just...
Look, if you believe in this, well, broad daylight.
Some of them
While
will...
people are commuting to work.
Yeah.
Even the ones that will say proudly they are that during the day. There are plenty of them that will say it in the middle of the afternoon. But none of them would be capable of behaving what they think they emulate.
Oh, right.
It's like, you motherfucker.
Well,
you couldn't walk a fucking... an 8-year-old into a gas chamber
I
for
think
real?
That's why you'll find a lot of Holocaust deniers in those people, because they don't want to be able to... they don't want to have to emulate that.
Right.
Oh, I want to be a Nazi. I want to do this.
Or someone finally calls you out on,
and it's
on
like,
you.
yeah, all right. Are you going to?
you're a Nazi, all right?
Yeah, you want to march this kid into a gas chamber?
Right.
They never really did that.
Right.
It never really happened. That's the propaganda against the. That's
At least the
usually-
Westboro people do it in daylight, right, Jimmy?
They do. I
Oh,
mean, look,
God.
I have a particular... I think they're also complete cowards.
Of course, but did you see the one picture? It's been going around the internet that Westboro has, fags must die or whatever.
Yeah.
They're doing their dumb stuff.
Childish rhetoric.
And then there's a guy right next to him with a huge sign that just says, "This guy's an asshole" with an arrow or something like that. I got to
That's
find the
pretty
picture
good.
because I think Jimmy especially would appreciate it. Oh, you know where the picture is?
Yeah, that's a
Danny,
good one.
wow, Danny can find every
I
fucking
know.
thing, man.
Anything on there.
Except happiness.
Oh yeah, okay. It says God hates fags, and then there's just a guy.
Fuck this guy.
Just standing there with a sign that says "Fuck this guy."
That's hilarious.
How great is that?
That's a good one.
Just fuck.
Fag is sin. And it's a guy bent over fucking another guy in the ass caricature. Those people are
They're
fucking
such
nuts.
childish
They
nonsense.
really are just nuts.
But you know what?
The
They're
guy,
not...
the guy holding the "God hates fag" sign looks like at least 20 different members of my family.
Dude, he's wearing fucking little he's wearing like those little culotte pants.
Yeah.
Nah, they're capris.
Capris.
They're sort of
Capris,
capris.
yes. But these the Westboro Church is annoying, but they're not hurting anybody other than just being assholes.
They're hurting feelings. That's for
But
sure.
I mean, they're not physically
Certainly
attacking people. They're just being dicks.
Well, when you fucking protest somebody's funeral, a soldier's funeral in front of his family, there's an element of pain there that goes beyond physical pain.
Don't get me wrong.
think.
I would love somebody to do what we all want somebody to do.
Exactly.
I would love some ex-soldier to do what is really necessary.
Exactly, yeah.
But, when you're talking about the mentality of a country and the way Germany,
Someone wants to take you to task on it a little bit.
I'm
Jimmy.
sure they do.
Alex in West Virginia.
Whoa, little Alex.
What's up, Alex?
How's it going?
Good.
Hello, Alex.
I Jim just wanted to
Jesus.
kind of comment on Jimmy's perspective.
Yeah,
on,
I know.
on
Go.
the Nazis.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, he said that he can't understand what would make a country do that. It seems like I haven't listened to your guys' show for that long, but it seems like maybe Anthony can kind of understand where I'm coming from because he studied the subject a little bit more than most people. After World War I, everything was carved up and taken from Germany. And I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but that kind of helped. It was almost like a catalyst because everybody got their piece of Germany's pie. Then all of a sudden, Germany felt like the whole world had something against them, and everybody was taking what was theirs. And it's a self-preservation that humans possess that caused almost this. And then a catalyst like Hitler, who was a great speaker, who all of a sudden told you you could do anything that you put your mind to. It was the whole world who was against you. You had to stand up and fight for it. Kind of like what's going on now in the United States.
Hold on, Alex. Before you, let me just jump in for 1 second because Anthony did say something kind of similar to that.
Very similar. Anthony laid all that out.
After World War I, Germany fell hard, and I understand that. And when it comes to striking back as a military, even behaving badly or horribly as a military, I could almost buy that argument. That's why they wanted to invade Russia. That's why they bombed the shit out of fucking Blitzkrieg England. I can almost understand the detached. I'm talking about these day-to-day things that these people were capable of doing. That what you're saying is probably right in a military action, but it does not describe how somebody can take children and put them somewhere and then walk them into a gas chamber. That does not explain that.
I don't think they could before this frenzy, this the way Hitler and the rest of the upper echelon would whip them up into this frenzy. You ever watch those shows where the religious guy has an arena of people with their eyes shut,
yes,
waving their hands, and they're just like, they would do anything for that guy. It's because they need something.
That day they would, yes. And in that moment, but not 2 weeks later.
But every day you're being inundated with this pride, this you are better than this group who aren't even human, that fucked you. The reason you don't have what you should have is because of that thing that is making life impossible for you. If you keep being told this over and over and realize, and then start seeing that the more you do, the better things are getting, I think you can absolutely make killers out of people.
Maybe killers, but
that
not...
That could be what happens in the United States. All we need is something, basically, we need things to get, of course, Germany after was a whole lot worse than what America is now. But all you would need is another depression right now, and then you would need a spark. Somebody who had, and I'm not a Hitler supporter by any means. I was in the military and served for 6 years, proudly. But what I'm saying, I've studied the subject a lot, and he was a phenomenal speaker.
Yeah, you're right, sir. He is known as the greatest. Everybody, that is a very common knowledge thing.
Take the immigrants. Take Mexicans for just.
Please, Kenya.
Yeah. But all we need right now is for the next 5 years to be horrible, and then somebody to come along who has the ability that Hitler had, and say, wait, these Mexicans are the ones that's taken your right to be an American and your right to put your kids, to make a better life for your child, blah 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 blah. And you have somebody who can do something like he was able to do. That's a very.
I can't think of a scenario where that happens in America.
Alex, I don't agree.
I really.
That would be tough.
I think that would be tough, Alex.
Look at 9/11, like how crazy people got after 9/11. Like that was again, it's maybe different than losing a world war, but the rage this whole country had, and people wanted to carpet bomb. Oh, of course it went away. But even in that rage, even in that rage, never would this whole country have been galvanized into taking Arab men and women, separating them from their children, and doing fucking no anesthesia experiments on the children. Yeah. Like, no matter how much anger...
I kind of felt pretty angry.
Now, you could have shot people. You could have opened fire with a machine gun on people. But there's no way we could have systematically marched people into gas chambers over a period. It just couldn't have happened.
Yeah, the anger was there, absolutely. But to take it to the next level, like Jimmy's saying...
Yeah, that does take us... weird fucking...
This didn't all happen in a weekend. This is over the course of a couple of years. For them to be able to behave that way for that long... If it was a one-day thing that Germany did, like, wow, they cut a lot of throats on Tuesday. All right, the whole country went bananas. But they didn't. They were fucking predisposed to do that.
That predisposition is
20 years of hardship and 20 years...
For whatever reason, dude.
But that predisposition is the part I have the problem with. I don't think... you can get a group of people that are just predisposed to have the ability to do horrible things without this long catalyst, this long fucking fuse that had to, go over time. It was a perfect mixture of everything you needed to make a country of murdering, horrid monsters. And like I said, I don't think it could ever happen again. Maybe, but I don't think so. But it is a perfect recipe for what happened when you look at every detail of what happened. So the predisposition is the only part I have a problem with. I don't think you just take a group of people and realize, all right, they're all murderers at heart. We just need to bring it out of them. I think it's like, no, they were just regular people that felt that they were fucked over, and the other stuff happened with having a very strong leader, a very common enemy in the Jewish people, someone they could blame, And
just say it was a perfect
it
storm.
happened. I never want to say perfect storm. It went through my head, and I never wanted to say it.
You even made the perfect storm movements with your hand.
Yeah, he made
I was
storm
doing the
motions.
hurricane
He really
backwards.
did. He wanted to say perfect storm.
I was going to
so
be the
badly.
weatherman from the perfect storm.
You see him talking around that,
If
Jimmy?
this combines with it, and then this comes down, this could be the biggest weather.
Anthony was piling up air in front of him, and he started spinning it.
Spinning Jews and
I'm like,
Nazis and Hitler. And
I'm sitting here going, he wants to say perfect storm.
perfect
so bad.
storm. Ugh.
Nothing worse than that. When people use the perfect storm.
It was the perfect storm. Right, we get it.
It just, I really annoy. Like, and again, I no one thinks I'm breaking ground by saying that the Germans were terrible to the Jews.
Terrible people.
But it just made me like Holocaust deniers to me are just cowards. They're cowards because it's like, hey, motherfucker, if you want to emulate this ideology, then emulate it, but take it all. Don't remove the part that your humanity won't let you connect to and go pretend it didn't happen.
Because then you can't be a real Nazi.
Because then you can't. But you know what? You have to line up with it. You have to line up with the fact that they just starved people and they let children lay there. And this wasn't in fucking 1810. This was fucking 1940 something.
Yeah.
The 1940s this was happening. Line up with that ideology completely then if you're going to line up with it.
Yeah, that's not too long ago, man. In the fucking scheme of shit.
No, not at all.
It makes it a lot easier when you could take all the little nasty parts out of it, you know.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier when you don't have to acknowledge the real dirt, getting your hands dirty.
But in front of other people to do something like where there was, when a family is being torn apart, just to be able to put a bullet in the head of a kid that's yelling to shut it up.
Yeah.
Other soldiers see this. And I know the American soldiers in Vietnam did some horrible shit. There was My Lai.
Yeah.
There was moments of that. But, I mean, look at the way the reaction was fucking horrendous to those moments.
Right, yeah.
The Americans at large didn't go, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, we didn't all of a sudden become galvanized in killing children.
Right.
Can we go to Mike in Massachusetts? Mike.
Depends on what Mike has to say. Mike?
Mikey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what do you got?
What's up, brother?
I just think you guys are going a little overboard, man. Painting most Germans as murderers. I mean,
Maybe.
dude, most Germans had no idea what was really going on prior to World War II.
No idea.
No, you might be right. I mean, look, I even said...
you're totally right.
Well, I want to explore that for a second. I mean, you didn't get information as fast as you do today. So what did the average German know?
No, I don't think they knew about what was really going on with the Holocaust.
Well, Ant, do you know?
I'm sure
Ant
they
really
were-
knows
they
this
were-
shit.
I don't know. They didn't have
Was it on the local
didn't have
news?
Twitter.
But I mean,
This guy will
It
get
all
Sir.
talking.
Twitter.
Dude, but we're taking your fucking point and going with it. Will you shut the fuck up?
Jesus.
I love the talk over you call guy.
You actually bring up a good point, so now we're like exploring this. But you just kept babbling over everything.
From what I've seen and read and know,
Sorry, guys.
it seems to me that
ahead, Mike.
a lot of the German, the German people were continuing being farmers and going to work and doing what they do. Whether they knew what was going on, I know people knew about rumblings. They heard shit.
They knew people were being rounded up.
They knew people were being rounded up, exactly. They knew
For what
something
reason,
was
though?
going on.
Family camps.
And they knew people weren't coming back after they were rounded up.
Right.
So I
how did the
even
info-
think the innocent people knew
They were hiding
there was
them.
bad
But
shit
how did the
going
info
on.
get out of the camps to
Word of mouth,
other...
you know, even
Yeah,
without
guards
Twitter
talk.
and fucking the internet,
Yeah.
you know, info did get out. And then there were those villages that were around the concentration camps that, you know, people knew
They
what was
smelled
going on, but they
something
kept,
funny.
right? But they kept their mouths shut, and those scenes turn up a lot, and you know, places like Schindler's List and other movies. Those scenes turn up with
So
the
they fuck-
villagers.
They fuck with the people that lived in the villages around the concentration camps. That's got to be a weird area
Yeah,
to
it's
live in.
kind of a strange. They got to study that.
Are you going to your kid's first birthday party knowing all the hell that's going on a mere mile
But
away?
they did, and they knew, and I think this one was portrayed in Band of Brothers, where they went into the village, grabbed those fucking people, and made them clean up the camp.
Oh, that's
and made them load the bodies into trucks and everything, and they were just horrified. These German people, I mean, and well-to-do, some well-to-do people, and just factory workers or whatever, had to go in there into the camps, smelling the death and everything, and no, motherfucker, you clean it up, because they assumed they had to know what was going on. So, yeah,
Just really bugged me just really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Especially all these fucking assholes running around today. Really? Really? You dummy. Like, you think you would have done well there? Stupid. You fucking idiots. You fucking suburban miscreants. I'm the Führer. Shut up, you mongrel cunt. They would have thrown you right in, you wasp.
Yeah. Stop it.
Ugh. Just annoys me. I bet the Führer would have liked me. Your fucking high school friends don't even like you.
The Führer would have liked
He
you.
wouldn't have liked you.
You don't think?
No.
No?
No.
No?
You're not a strong figure.
Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
Except for when I have to, do something real bad.
Yeah.
I'll beat up a fag. Or, I'll fucking yell Jew.
Ugh. And by the way, I'm not speaking of Aryans who are in prison, where to me that's a necessary
Oh, my God.
survival thing. That's different. Like when you're in jail, believe me, I'd tattoo a swastika anywhere they wanted to avoid being raped by Dominicans. Like, there's a difference between that.
Why'd you pick Dominicans?
Because
That would be the worst.
blacks are too easy. It's like we always say blacks. Dominicans is longer. I thought it'd be a funnier word.
It worked. It worked.
More
It worked.
specific.
Just want to go into the comedian's head for a second.
And again, I'm excluding that because in jail, there's to me a very different survival thing you have to go into. But I'm talking about the people now. The bottom line is, I don't think anybody who's popular in high school, who's getting a lot of pussy, is running out going, you know what? Fuck the Jews.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Yeah, I don't think you have that real passion for it.
No.
You just feel lost.
What do you guys think of
You
this?
feel like I'm lost and don't really have any people.
They
to do it.
accept me.